Welcome back, guys. Back on another video. This time we're going over the Cowboys, Storm, and the Panthers. Alrighty, so starting off with the Cowboys. So first player be Scott Drinkwater. In 2024, he averaged 78.7 points per game. He was second most overall points in Supercoach for 2024. Um, So in 2025, with Val Holmes moving on to the Dragons, Drinkwater should most likely be the goal kicker for the Cowboys. If not, it's probably out of him and like Jake Clifford. Probably talk about later. Um, but yeah, most likely, yeah, if he's the goal kicker, a lot of the attack will go through Drinky. And then if he's kicking goals, he could potentially be maybe like 4-6 points on average per game, maybe better potentially than the 78 that he averaged last season. In my opinion, probably, yeah, I'd say he's definitely a buy, or he'd be amongst the top handful of fullbacks for me. Um, along with like obviously probably your most popular is probably going to be like Turbo and Latrell. And then after that, Drinkwater's right up there for me. Um, so yeah. Then moving on, the next player I'll talk about will be Tom Dearden, the 5'8" for the Maroons. Well, at least he was for 2024 because of Munster not being fit. Um, Average 61, so he's probably an okay pick to have at 5'8" if you want to start with him. And then also I've got written down Jake Clifford. He only played like 6 games at the halfback. They dropped Chad Townsend from the team in the back end of the year, and they actually played really well with Clifford in the side as the 7. Todd Payton was saying that defensively is better. He's got a running threat, so he'll run the ball, which he tended to do when he did play those handful of games that he played. And he's got a good kicking game. But I wouldn't have him unless he gets the goal kicking. I'd say more than likely it'll be Drinkwater that is the goal kicker for the Cowboys. Yeah, if that ends up being the case, then I'd say Clifford's probably in a void. But as I said with Tom Dearden before, um, Dearden I wouldn't push back on if you want to start with him, but I wouldn't start with Clifford. The next guy, um, Ruben Cotter. Had a bit of a mind blank for a second there. Yeah, Ruben Cotter. In 2025, he will be only available at 2RF. That's where previously he was dual front row, second row. So for next season, he's 2RF only, and he averaged 57.2 in 2024. For me, that makes him a bigger void, being 2RF only. Yeah, Ruben Cotter's a bigger void. Otherwise, if he had the front row dual, then I'd say, yeah, pick him at front row. But otherwise, nah. So after him, we've got Laybut, Valame, Purdue, and Robert Derby. They're all going to be vying over the vacant centre and wing spots that both Kyle Felt, who went to England, and Val Holmes, who went to the Dragons. Those positions that are opened up, they're going to be, yeah, there's going to be the 4, probably at least those 4 players battling for those positions. Because you'll have like Viliami Vilea be the other centre. Yeah, be just him as the other centre, and Murray Talangi as the other winger. That's right. But yeah, Laybut, Valame, probably be the most likely pair, I'd say, to probably get the positions. People are predicting Robert Derby to get the other wing spot. For me, I'd probably say that, yeah, it'll be Laybut at centre, most likely Valame on the wing. They're both roughly around that 380 380 to 390k mark. Either one of them's probably going to be a decent pickup. To start off in the centre wings being that cheap. But by any chance, if Jackson Purdue or Robert Derby gets the starting spot ahead of either one of them, being that they're like almost like they're not bottom dollar, but they're like 250k or 230 something k, they're pretty cheap. I'll probably run with either one of them if they happen to get one of those starting spots. Next player, Reece Robson. He very solid, very solid hooker. He'll play basically to 80 minutes every week. He'll give you 60 points. He'll basically give you the 60 points in base with a bit of attack, or a little bit of attacking upside every week. Very solid. Although you'll lose him for a game or two during Origin, depending on their buyer's schedule. I can't remember what their buyer's schedule is in the middle of the Origin series there, but you'll lose Robson for a couple of games during there. But that's where another thing where the flex position makes it a bit easier when you're missing a player. And then also during those bye periods, you get your best 13 players rather than having to try to fill a full team. But yeah, Robson, 100% a good pick if you want to start with him. And then one more player I've written down is Griffin Neame. With guys like Tamalolo being out for that first little bit of the season, Cohen House is coming back from an ACL and the like, and Jordan McLean, he's getting on in age, probably won't play a lot of minutes if he plays. Griffin Neame, he averaged 41.1 from only about 35-40 minutes a game in 2024. With Tamalolo being out, and like I said, with Jordan McLean and Cohen House, he's every chance of playing like 50 minutes or something like that. He's going to have an increase in minutes potentially, which could mean that he could potentially be like 10 or 15 points underpriced if he plays those minutes and scores that much. If he sticks to that like one point a minute sort of thing. Okay, so that's it for the Cowboys. Next, Melbourne Storm. So the first player will be Jerome Hughes. So the Dally M Player of the Year from 2024. He averaged 82.3 in 2024. So he was like only the tiniest bit below Cleary actually with how much they averaged per game. So he's like the second highest out of the gun halfbacks, the second highest average in 2024. He obviously played the most games though, because of like Cleary only played like 10 games during the regular season, where Jerome Hughes only missed maybe 1 or 2 because of a calf, I'm pretty sure it was, something like that. The only downside with Hughes potentially is if Munster's in the team every week. Munster tends to take a few points away from Hughes. Hughes actually averaged a lot more. He averaged like 90 odd in the games when he didn't have Munster on the side, where he only averaged like 65 or something like that when he had Munster in the team. So that kind of makes him a bit questionable of whether to have him whether to start with him or have him in your team or not. Makes it probably a no for me. I'll probably stick with Cleary for mine. They kind of share the points between them some weeks as well, the players at Melbourne. So it makes them a bit questionable week to week who's going to get the points, unless they go massive against teams like they flog teams that are down the bottom of the ladder and they score like 50 odd points against someone. Then you might get like a good share of points, like you get multiple players scoring close to 100. So Hughes was the first player. The next player is Eli Katoa. Obviously has a really good combination with Jerome Hughes, which makes him very very appealing. He'll be one of the top 3-4 2RFs for the year, like he was in 2024, like 73.3. He was really good. He was only Fafita and Yo. I forget who else there was above him. I don't think there was anyone else above them actually. I think there was like Fafita and then Yo, followed by Katoa. But yeah, definitely wouldn't push back on anyone starting with Eli Katoa. He's an absolute beast, and playing outside Jerome Hughes is like, yeah, I wouldn't push back on it. Harry Grant, he'll be most likely be the top hooker again, as he has been the last few years. He was down probably a bit last year. He averaged 70.7, so I'm pretty sure he averaged like 75 or something like that the previous year. Yeah, because he was down a fair bit, like the early part of the year, and even in the middle. He went gangbusters in the back end of the year. Probably after a lot of people who owned him early in the year probably sold him by that stage, and then he went gangbusters, so which made it really it wouldn't have been funny for those who'd sold him anyway. After Harry, I've got Pappy written down there. Being a little bit injury riddled, obviously, the last few years. Last year was like his main year where he's actually played a large number of games throughout the year. Probably wasn't totally back to his best just yet. Down a bit on probably what he can be capable of. So he's actually pretty cheap, but like he averaged 63, so he's a lot cheaper than what he probably has been. He'll be a similar price to what he was at the start of last year when he was like 645k or something like that. He's pretty close to that sort of price again for 2025. Every chance that if Melbourne go all the way through and be like the top team again during the regular season, there's every chance that instead of 63, he's like 70. I see a world where he makes scores like 75, 80 on average. So Pappy could be a bit of a pod for people to start the year with. He's another guy I wouldn't push back on starting with. The next player, Cam Munster. So he only averaged 62.2 last season. He averaged in the 70s the previous year. Or previous years he's averaged like a 75 almost year on year previously. Missed a lot of the year because of the groin. He's had like a double hip surgery or something like that as well, which is also related to the groin injury. That's something that you'd probably more have to probably ask NRL physio about, because I'm no physio or doctor, but I believe he went for double hip surgery, so his fitness going into the year is going to be probably a bit questionable. But if you want to take the risk, well, I wouldn't push back on it anyway. If you want to take the risk, because if he comes back firing and he's anywhere near as good as what he has been in previous years, he's like anywhere from 10-15 points below what his value could be. And the one other thing I've got to mention with the Melbourne Storm, question mark around probably Stefano Utoikamanu. Butchered it a bit there. What his role is going to be, he might not actually be. He could be probably a bit of a trap. Melbourne's not overly known for like big scores, Supercoach wise, with their front rowers. So yeah, for me, it's probably a bit of an avoid. Bit of an avoid for me. Stefano. Alrighty, moving on to the Panthers. So, top of the list, I've got Dylan Edwards at fullback. He averaged a massive 85.7. It's pretty big for him. The main probably reason why he averaged that much though was Nathan Cleary only played 10 games. In games where Nathan Cleary wasn't in the side, Edwards averaged like close to 100 points per game when Cleary wasn't in the side. So with Cleary in the team, for me it's 100% a no on Edwards. He's way above his price, or way above his value. If Cleary's in the team, he only probably he's lucky to average probably 70 points a game when Cleary's on the side. When Cleary's not on the team, he goes gangbusters. He goes like 100 points plus per game almost week on week when Cleary's not on the side. Next on the list is Cleary himself. He'll be my starting halfback as long as he's ready to go. He's had like shoulder surgery or something like that. Again in the off season. They're saying reportedly he's touch and go for the start of the year, as is actually Dylan Edwards has had the same thing. But as long as he's ready to go, Cleary's 100% going to be in my team. The number one halfback in Supercoach. Probably can't go too wrong. So then after him, Isaiah Yeo, he averaged 74.3 points per game in 2024. Very similar probably to what he has in the previous couple of years, realistically. Plays basically 80 minutes in the middle every week. He has the balance of playing as a link man in the middle, and then also he'll take the hard runs as well from time to time. Just gets that constant 70 to 80 in base every week. If you want him in your team, you can't go wrong. Probably the same goes for Brian Toto in the centre wing. 70.3 points per game. He's probably down a little bit on his previous years. Not scoring anywhere near as many tries as in previous years either. Here's another one where you could 100% start with him. If you're looking to have guns in your centre wing to start the year, because there's like the popular ones probably in the centre wing. If people are starting with guns, there's going to be like Brian Toto, Jacob Kiraz, and so on. Probably can't go too wrong with him either. And then after him, there's Jesse McLean and Casey McLean, the two brothers. They'll probably be battling over the wing spot left by Sonny Taruva. Casey McLean played probably the bigger number of games during the last year, but played at centre mostly. And he's probably more of a centre, realistically. Jesse McLean is more noted as a winger out of the two, and would have probably had would have been the first choice for Ivan Cleary, although he was injured. So if he wasn't injured, he would have played in front of him instead of his brother Casey. He would have played first. He played one game and scored 48. Casey McLean played mostly centre. He played a little bit of wing a couple of times, and averaged 50 in the games that he played. Jesse's basically nearly bottom dollar cheapie almost. So I'd say he's probably more likely to have the wing spot. And then Lindsay Smith is next on the list. Even though he averaged 53.5, he was only like 3 points a game less than Fisher Harris, who's obviously left to go to the Warriors. I'd say Lindsay Smith would be one of the guys, along with Liam Henry to probably pick up more of those middle minutes, even though they have signed IPAP or Isaiah Papali'i. They have signed him, but they'll probably have like Lindsay Smith, Liam Henry. I'd see probably IPAP and Liam Martin being the back rowers there, and probably Sorensen potentially coming off the bench playing in the middle. So yeah, that's about it for those teams. If you're liking this content, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.